Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of the Logistics Lounge. So we have finished our setup. Today we have Karl Heinz here from Metrologs. Hey, Karl Heinz.
Jens, thank
So
you for having me here.
absolutely excited about it. One day before Karl Heinz goes back to Germany. So
Yes, I'm almost done to complete my trip for this time.
yeah,
Tomorrow I'm heading it home
that's good.
to Germany.
So overall, what we want to talk about today and have a small discussion is the state of EDI. We just had a interesting talk with one of our customers, person that we know for quite some time, in regards EDI, connectivity, software as a service. So we took that as a first topic. Um, actual, we see a big change. Can I step in, please, from WAN boxes to OFTP, AS, OFTP2 connections. Quite sometimes a challenge for customers. So, but I know that we have a nice product where we can support.
Yeah, it's not just the product, it's also the services. So what we're going to offer is software as a service in special or in particular, it's EDI or OFTP2 as a service. And we also provide all the onboarding services required to get the trading partnership running.
Yeah.
That's what we do with Metrologs, and we do it for quite some suppliers here in Alabama, for some sequencing suppliers, logistics suppliers, and also for parts manufacturers.
Interesting. Software as a service, web-based.
Yes,
So
software as a service.
mhm.
So web-based means you don't touch anything. You don't buy any licenses. You simply subscribe for the solution and everything else is covered.
So brings me to the nice word, CapEx, capital,
Yeah,
not needed.
exactly, because it's an expense. There is no CapEx required. And the good thing with subscriptions from our customer point of view is you can modify the subscription, upscale, downscale, or even cancel the subscription basically with a term of 30 days. Also, we do have customers who don't like the 30 days terms. They want to have longer terms, and
Yeah.
we certainly offer longer terms for cancellation.
So because the 30 days are mutual. Right.
Exactly. They are mutual, and for services like EDI, the transition to another solution or provider might take longer than 30 days, or it will take longer than 30 days because EDI onboarding is still a hassle.
I can agree to that. That brings us, I think, to the topic implementation. So I need EDI. So how is the implementation working? What can you do?
Yeah.
How will you support us?
When we talk about EDI, we have to talk about the method. We have to talk about the protocols. So what we're going to support is basically, let's say, the EDI solution beyond the old-fashioned WAN box, where you are charged by characters transmitted. We have basically with OFTP2 or IS2 modern secure technologies where the file size or the characters transmitted is not an issue. It's just a system which will be charged. And when we have defined the exchange technology, the technology to communicate with the trading partner, we have to talk about the EDI standards. So in the automotive industry, VDA is still present. It will be or is being replaced by EDIFACT. And we also support all other protocols which are required, like X12.
Yeah. That is good. So standard protocols are there, and even if there are some special needs that we sometimes know from the bigger companies, it's not a problem. I mean, it's work, yeah, sure, it's testing, but it's feasible to integrate it.
But when we talk about standards is one thing, but each of the big OEMs actually do have their own flavor of the standard. So there is always something to adjust, to modify. And that's where we are specialized on, because we do understand the formats. We are, I would say, in a good shape to adjust it to the customer or to the trading partnership needs.
I think that's an important topic. Like you said, trained. You don't do, as a standard supplier, OEM, most likely everyday EDI integrations.
Correct.
So a lot of knowledge gets lost over the months. You do it for a lot of companies, different companies, nearly every day, every week. So knowledge is there, the training is there.
We started with EDI, I would say, more than 10 years. It's actually 12 years ago. We implemented in 2014 EDI in the cloud, which was fairly new in these days. And if we talk about EDI, and especially EDI for sequencing suppliers, resilience and availability is a big issue. So our systems are on one side secure, but they are always in the high availability state, so that we don't lose the connection from the sequencing supplier to the OEM.
Yeah, that's one important topic. Otherwise, it can go to the tens of thousands of dollars a minute.
Exactly. Yeah, we want to avoid that.
I can agree to that. Yeah. Security, important topic. I mean, I know that you and your team have security approvals from some of the bigger OEMs. You go through yearly, quarterly security checks. So
exactly, we have to do some external penetration audits where third-party providers assess the system. This is a base requirement from one of our main or big customer. So our systems are as secure as they can be, considering the risk of cloud in general. But because of the cloud by itself, we do have the possibility to utilize all the tools provided by the infrastructure provider. We're going to use mainly Amazon Web Services. We do always also some projects with Azure, but we are an Amazon AWS technology partner, so we understand the tools and the requirements of the cloud.
Yeah, it brings me to a nice word that I heard more than once from you: microservices. Yes. Upscale, downscale. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, when we talk about cloud, it's not just migrating a virtual machine to the cloud. It's all about the toolbox the cloud or the infrastructure providers like Microsoft or AWS provide. And one of the possibilities to run solutions in the cloud is to utilize microservices. Microservices means that there is an event. The event triggers the start of a small program snippet, and this program snippet processes the input and provides an output. And when this output is available, basically the microservice, the micro instance is in sleep, which means there is no cost, because there's only cost when an event happens. And at the end, it doesn't matter if we have one event, 10 events, hundreds or thousands events in parallel. So everything will be processed. So which this means we are fully scalable with microservices and by lowering the cost at the end. That's the latest, let's say, way to run solutions in the cloud.
I think that's an interesting topic. Down from experience, like I say, Vanbox, cost goes up. What is not nice, but I even saw that some EDI systems get overloaded.
Mhm.
Measures get stuck, we come out of sequence. This can not happen with microservices.
It cannot happen if it's set up right. So we have to have queuing services.
Yep.
We have to make sure that each message is processed in the sequence it has to be processed.
Yep.
And if it's done right, there is no issue with overload and there is no issue with the sequence.
How is that with, let me use an easy term, monitoring? Something is not in sequence or a microservice is down. So how is that really going?
Yeah, microservices or microservice cannot be down. A microservice could not start. But if it does not start, we still have the message, right? And if something goes wrong in the cloud, that's not a big issue because everything is set up as so-called infrastructure as code, which means all the code that the cloud services are defined in a script. So if there is any big issue and something is not working, we simply shut it down, restart the script, and generate the infrastructure from scratch. That's how we manage our cloud services.
So, and I assume most likely correctly that you have it as well in different availability zones.
Yeah, when we talk again about cloud, we talk about regions. So all the cloud service providers have regions spread all over the world, and each region has different availability zones, which are independent computing centers by itself. So they have their own internet connection, they have their own power supply. So if one availability zone goes down, there is the other one. And if a region goes down, there is another region. It depends on the criticality of the service.
Mm-hmm.
And based on the criticality of the service, we define what the options are in case of a failure.
Okay, that's interesting. I think that gives a lot of opportunities to set up things.
Yeah, at the end,
in the past.
Solutions like EDI have to be have to be highly available. So we cannot accept any downtime in our services.
Especially, like you said, with just deliveries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
correct.
So, we mentioned cost a little bit. Like you said, it can be with 30-day terms, can be longer terms. How is a cost one? Like you say, software as a service, most likely monthly setup cost.
Yeah, there are setup costs. That's right. There are, let's say, onboarding costs.
Yeah.
So if we have to onboard or create new trading partnerships, and then there is usually a very flat fee for the ongoing operations.
Mm-hmm.
So it's predictable. The costs are predictable. So there is no big surprise for the customer what the cost might be.
Yeah.
And there is always a transparency how the cost or what the elements for the cost.
Yeah.
The total bill.
Yeah. And I mean, I think with your experience and the experience from your team, we are really able to judge the cost so that customers can price it into their offers. And it's interesting. So, question. Do you see, I have some ideas, opportunities with EDI data? I mean, data is always that good as what we are doing with it, right?
Yes. So let's take a look back into the past and maybe even in the current state of EDI. So EDI messages are exchanged from an ERP system to another ERP system, and everything is managed with, I would say, with the capability of the ERP systems. in many cases, we still face outdated ERP or MRP systems even, which are, let's say, based on a technology from the last century. And there you don't have a lot of possibilities and opportunities how to visualize the data. So what we can offer based on the EDI data is a full-blown supply chain control tower.
Mm-hmm.
So considering our solution as a hub for inbound, outbound EDI messages, inbound messages, for example, a ASN, outbound, for example, depending on the direction, sure. But if we consider, let's say, the customer sends out a forecast, the customer sends out a release, and the supplier sends a ASN when the shipment goes out. And based on the complete supply chain network and the messages managed with our solution, we basically can show the complete state of the supply chain in a visual way, with charts, interactive charts, with statistics, with forecasts, whatever is required based on the state of the customer. So old-fashioned IT infrastructure can be modernized by adding on top the software as a service, and software as a service means there is not a long implementation time. The most effort in setting up software as a service is to enter all the master data, what is required. Yes, if there is an upload, mass upload, it's much faster, but usually the population of our systems with the master data is the critical point, which takes most of the time.
And sometimes response times, right?
Exactly, and response time and testing time. And this is another total issue, and I would say this would be good for another episode, how to onboard and enhance trading partnership. That's a story by itself, but the most effort is basically in getting the response from the various parties about or for testing the EDI connection.
I think that gives, like I said, room for an extra episode for sure, especially automated testing. So with that said, please like, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss that. Another interesting thing, to go back a little bit to the visibility topic. Most companies that we work with, that I know, have a quite good visibility into the tier 1 space. Tier 2, tier 3, let's say tier X gets more and more complicated. I think that's, I don't want to say part of the future, but it's something that needs to happen to get a completely picture. If we receive the data, if it is stock messages, if it is inbound, outbound messages, like you said, we even can go up into the tier X sector, right?
That's correct. And the more we go, or the further we go in the tier level, the more unlikely is even today, the EDI capability. And to get, let's say, the tier 3 level integrated, this could be done or accomplished with web EDI. So our solution supports web EDI, where a non-capable or non-EDI capable supplier can basically enter the shipment information in a web portal, and it will generate the correct shipping label so that the goods receipt can rely on the label content, and even the ASN based on the label printing is sent and can be processed in the receiving system.
Important thing. Saves time.
Exactly.
Reduces error. No relabeling in the process. One of my experience. more error-ridden processes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
we should not underestimate the opportunity of error proofing, right? And using the correct labels with the information required to have a good fulfillment at the end.
Yeah. How is it with, everybody is talking AI. How is it with predictions? When we have data, can we, I think, predict we will run out of left-hand red mirrors in 2 days?
Yeah, yeah, we talk about predictions, but predictions start with statistics.
Right? Exactly.
So looking backwards, we can have the statistics, all the parameters analyzed so that we have a good understanding what happened in the past. Yeah. And as we know by experience, situations will not change from one day to the other. So whatever we have experienced in the past will most likely happen today and even in the future. Yeah. And the good thing with statistics is statistics are the base of forecasting. And with the history, the stats of the history, we can really predict with a very high confidence what will going to happen. What will going to happen is because we know if we have the complete set of information in our system, we know what the consumption is. We know the rate of consumption. Yep. We know the inventory levels because everything what went in regards of material but did not went out is basically inventory. Yep. And with inventory, with shipments in transit, and with orders and confirmed orders, we can predict the health of the supply chain, and then we can take unknown factors like weather impacts into the consideration, so we can really tell if a shipment required will come in at the right time to not stop the supply chain.
Yep. An important thing that gives more, not more than enough, but at least it gives good time to reschedule your production, possibly let me stay with my the red car out of the production line and produce some white cars where I have my mirrors.
Yeah, we do have the Pearl chain,
yep.
the planned production sequence. And when we know the production sequence, inventory, and material in transit, we can really tell the planner if something has to be rescheduled.
Yep.
To take at least the risk out.
Yeah, that's a really good approach to reduce downtime.
Yes.
Don't lose cars. Mm-hmm. Don't have people staying around at the line because they cannot work. They don't have the parts.
Yes.
That's quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same if you talk about tier ones. They know if the part is coming in. If I don't get the delivery of my paint, I cannot build my product. If I'm a logistics service provider, if my parts are not coming in from wherever, let's say Mexico, because we have border problems, border is closed. Yeah. So, yeah, that's really helpful.
Yeah, and again, I want to emphasize on the system setup by itself. So our systems do not replace, they could, but they will not replace existing systems. They are an addition to the existing systems, but an addition with much more power and much more capability than usually the existing systems can provide. So if we talk about an SAP environment, we know that everything what we touch in SAP is quite expensive. And I'd like to say that our solutions are much faster to be implemented and for less money. So that's for sure. So that's a very, very interesting part, which should be taken in consideration by the decision makers.
Yeah. I mean, I think what is the interesting part, and I think we will record another episode for as well, web EDI.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have some more questions in that direction. It's, I think, quite an interesting topic.
Yeah, I think web EDI and supplier onboarding is an interesting topic. We experience that every day, that there is still a lack of knowledge and capability available in the supply chain.
Yeah, even sometimes, like you said, this brings us really, I think, in the direction, what is IT doing? What is classical IT? What is modern IT? What is operations? Who is handling that? And that's an interesting topic that I heard more than once and where I can agree to, and I think you as well. Software as a service don't need to be or don't have to be bought or brought into the company from an IT. Of course, IT is part of the project. Security assessments, some other topics, but as well an operations team or an engineering team can have responsibility for a software as a service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the past, the IT department was responsible for deciding, implementing, and running an IT system. Yeah. Modern IT organizations should be more responsible to govern the operation of IT solutions with the right standards, with the right security definitions, and so on. At the end, they should not be responsible to run a IT solution. They should be responsible together with the functional department to have the right outcome of a solution, right? And therefore, a software as a service solution could be a very, very good and suiting part of an overall IT strategy.
Yeah, I can completely agree to that. So overall, I think that's really interesting. So I think we have something to offer, Karl Heinz. If somebody is interested, I know that Karl Heinz and team created a really nice ROI, return on investment calculator.
Yes. In my opinion, IT investments should have their ROI in a very short time. We should not talk about 4 or 5 years or 6 years, but we should talk about 12 months, maybe even less. But in no case it should take long.
Especially with software as a service. Completely different
software as a service
than buying my $300,000, $400,000 server.
And you
buy a second one because I need redundancy.
Exactly. So what we are offering is a ROI calculator, and we want to summarize the savings, the cost and the savings together with the customer. And one thing should always be considered. It's not about the cost, because mainly we talk about, oh, that's another 200K or this is that much of fees. No, it's not about the cost. It's about the savings, right?
Yeah.
At the end, you should have the highest saving, and you never should basically pay $1 to save a dime.
That is the truth. That is.
Yes, and therefore ROI is a very, very important thing, and we offer a ROI simulation where you have the transparency till when you will have to break even with the running software as a service cost.
So, takes a chance. Offered for free. Reach out to us and say it costs nothing. You only can learn something.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if it's not today possible where you need to update your EDI structure, I think latest in the next 3 to 5 years, because that is the runtime from servers. Most likely you need to update.
Yes.
So, yeah, please reach out to us. As I say, in the second episode, we want to talk a little bit more about web EDI, really interesting topic. Gives you even more opportunities, like we already mentioned really shortly, with smaller, non-EDI capable suppliers, sometimes like people name it mom and pop shops, can be fully EDI capable as well in a short time. We will talk about that. So again, please, like, subscribe, and Karl Heinz, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Jens. Nice conversation.
Yeah.
Look forward to the next episode.
Like always. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Talk soon.